Well, howdy. This is Diwari with Uniquely Average Gamers, and we're going to continue on with our coverage of Destiny. This time around, we're going to take a look at the Titan, particularly the Striker subclass for the Titan. This was the only subclass we got access to in the alpha. The other one's called Defender, and just as the name would suggest, Defender's probably going to be more of a tank style play, where this is going to be more of the spank style play. Uh, we say that because it's going to be a close quarters damage dealer with heavy armor. So as a striker, you're going to be able to take a hit and keep on hitting. As far as unique gameplay is concerned, you start off with a double jump called Lift, and it's going to be as close to a rocket pack as one would think. You get pretty good distance, you get pretty good height with it, it's a good way to close the gap, but you can be exposed as you're up there with Lift. So if you find yourself exposed, press jump again, and you'll fall back down to the ground, hopefully to safety. Now you also get unique grenades as well, starting with the flashbang grenade, which is going to explode. It's got a short trigger, but when it explodes, it's going to cause damage to enemies, and then also blind them. Now you can tell that enemies are blind when they have a little smoke cloud above their head. And when they're blind, it also sets up for this. That's Fist of Havoc. That's the trademark ability for the Striker subclass. You essentially launch the Titan forward. It doesn't start out with too great a distance, but you can increase it as time goes on. And where you land, it causes a 360 AoE that hits like a truck. It can take out waves of smaller enemies. It can one-shot enemy players. And it can also do significant amount of damage to heavier enemies if they're a little bit too close for comfort. It starts out as just a 360 AoE, but depending on what spec you choose, or rather what traits you give it, I should say, you have the ability to either have it launchable from air, or you could have it leave an AoE field on the ground, which will have good synergy with some of your grenades. There's a lot of versatility that you get with Fist of Havoc that's going to make what's already a really good move an even better move. Okay, so now we get into the Striker's tree. This tree is going to significantly increase the close quarters capability of the class, and it's just very fun. You become a walking wrecking ball. You do get more armor than other classes, so you can get in there and get some wet work done. Flashbang Grenade is going to be first. You get the ability to blind enemies. It does work on enemy players. We didn't mention that earlier on, but it does for about 1 to 2 seconds. They can still fire, so don't go gung-ho if they have a shotgun and they're just firing wildly. Next you get Pulse Grenade, and Pulse Grenade is going to be leaving an AoE on the ground. This is good to be dropping at entrances of doors, it's good to be dropping on bosses or other players, on top of a flag if they're trying to take it, you name it. Lightning Grenade is going to be able to stick to any surface, and it's going to be emitting bolts of lightning. We don't know how much their damage is going to be, but hopefully it's enough to make that extra little bit of accuracy worth it. We also don't know if when an enemy dies while Lightning Grenade is attached to it, if that's going to remove Lightning Grenade from the field. We'll have to see. Now next you have the lift ability. This is going to have a very close resemblance to a rocket pack. It's quick for a rocket pack, but you still do have an essence of floatiness, so you do need to pay attention to if you're exposed. As always, press jump again and you'll cancel out of it and fall to the earth. First upgrade you get is increased height. Increased height is going to do exactly as it sounds. That can help you get to new distances you couldn't before, or get a little bit of an extra angle if you have a rocket launcher. Next you have Control, further benefiting your rocket launcher capabilities while using a rocket pack. You can also use Fist of Havoc from the air. We're going to mention that here in a bit. And that's going to be good for AoEing areas beneath you if you need to kind of get an angle to take them out. Now Catapult is next. This looks like it's going to be exciting because it's essentially going to give us a boost of momentum from our double jump. Now as I mentioned before, there's a little bit of a floatiness to the rocket pack, so if we can mitigate that, and this means we get a safer double jump, then that just makes the Striker even fiercer. Next you have Fist of Havoc. Like we mentioned before, this is the trademark skill of the Striker class. Left one, right one for Sony, left bumper, right bumper for Microsoft. It's a leap, so you do get the ability to, you don't have to be standing directly on the enemy when you get it, so it does help close the gap if you need to. Aftermath is the first upgrade you get, and you have the ability to leave that on the ground. It's going to be an AoE over time, which is good, especially if you combine a Pulse Grenade with it, so all of a sudden you have 2 dots in one area. Now the next thing you get is going to be Death from Above. Like we mentioned before, you get the ability to drop in from a double jump with Fist of Havoc. So if you want to go straight Iron Man style, this is the skill for you. It does allow for the extra angle. If you have a rocket launcher, think of it like an extra rocket up your sleeve. Shockwave is the final one, and it's going to emit energy from the area that you land or launch Fist of Havoc. We don't know if it's a cone or a rectangle. We don't know its angles yet, but it could potentially be very good. Now next up we're going to have the melee enhancer, Storm Fist. Storm Fist is just a powerful melee. It does hit harder than normal melees. I didn't have too much success one-shotting other players with it, but you do get the ability to get it twice in a row with Overload. So there is a chance that you can drop 2 of these on another player or on a boss or a heavy enemy, and it can do some significant damage to them. It can also be the nice little sweetener if you hit him with a fusion rifle or a shotgun. So think of it as like a cherry on top of a little buckshot sundae. Now, the next ability you get for it is going to be really good for your AoE capabilities. It's called Discharge, and what you get is going to be the ability to have like a little explosion come out of your fist when you hit with Storm Fist. So if there's a whole bunch of enemies, like a whole bunch of Hive running at you, they're essentially like the Flood from the Halo games. They're like zombies, think of it that way. You can start wailing down frail enemies in front of you very easily. Illuminated is going to be after that, and it's going to further reduce the cooldown of Fists of Havoc. It says significantly. We don't know by how much, but more, more Fists of Havoc is never a bad thing. Okay, now after that, we get into the Codex portion of the tree. This is going to be very similar to what we've seen before, where we're choosing between armor or recovery or agility, or rather combinations of the three. You do get to change this as you see fit. So pick whichever is best for your context. Like, for instance, if you need to do some platforming, it couldn't hurt to throw on the agility for a little bit. If you need to recover from a PvP scenario, obviously recovery is going to be the way to go. Pretty straightforward, right? Next, you get Headstrong. It doesn't look like it at first, but it is marginally increasing my agility, and it's going to increase the leap distance of Fist of Havoc, so you can launch it from farther. Very good. Aftermath is going to increase the duration of your AoE grenades, and the AoE field called Aftermath that is left by Fist of Havoc, should you choose to go into that spec. This is going to be good in the sense that it increases the duration of the dots, which means more ticks on the dots, which means more damage. Now, the final skill that we get in this column is going to be Transfusion. And what it is as you kill enemies with a melee attack, it's going to spark a regeneration of health on your Titan. This is the only healing technique that we see the Striker have, so we hope that it's going to be enough to make it worth it. We don't know if killing multiple enemies is going to cause it to stack. We certainly hope so, but that might be wishful thinking. After that, we get into more codexes. I know it seems kind of odd that they broke them up. I don't know why. But, as always, pick whichever one is best for your playstyle. These can also be changed on the fly like the other codexes, so swap them in and out as you see fit, and you'll be able to survive a lot better if you're spec'd more to the given context. Not bad, right? Alright, now as you're looking at these stats, bear in mind that armor is good for a Striker, but when you're in a PvP scenario, there are balances in place, so you are still going to be able to get one shot by like sniper rifle headshots or point-blank shotgun blasts or rocket launchers, so keep dodging. Armor is going to help you, but it's not going to be your fail-safe. Next, you get Unstoppable, which is going to do two things. One, it's going to marginally increase your armor up there on the bar, and then it's also going to make you harder to kill while using Fist of Havoc. This, of course, can help you seal the deal. If you're in close and you use Fist of Havoc, that's going to make it so that you're harder to kill as you launch it. Shoulder Charge is next. This is going to be, if you're sprinting, you're going to get the ability to pretty much go straight linebacker on them. You use the melee ability, and it says it unleashes a devastating melee attack. By devastating, we don't know how much damage they mean, but we hope it's enough to make that skill worth it. After that, you get Juggernaut, and this is going to be kind of the polar opposite, in the sense that as you're sprinting, you're going to get a defensive bubble around you. We don't know how much damage it's going to mitigate, nor do we know the duration that it's going to have. So we're excited to see what it does. A lot of these skills are based on closing the gap, and of course, as always, you get to pick and choose which one you like the best. So, as always, do what you think is good for you. From a PvP standpoint, PvPing as a Titan can be very, very satisfying and empowering, particularly on more close quarters style maps, as one would think. The Fist of Havoc is going to be a very good trump card to have up your sleeve. If another enemy gets the jump on you, or if you know someone's going to be popping around the corner, or if you need to clear out enemy players from an objective if they're congregating around a flag, Fist of Havoc is a good place to go. You also get a Flashbang Grenade, which is going to blind enemy players for about 1 to 2 seconds. Chances are they are going to be firing wildly, so bear that in mind. You don't want to run up in there and just start eating their bullets that they're just firing out randomly. The melee is also a pretty good little sweetener to the shotgun. Now, from a stat standpoint, you're going to have the same stats as the other three classes. You get Intellect, which is going to decrease the cooldown of your Fist of Havoc. That's very good. You're going to get Discipline, which is going to decrease the cooldown of your grenades. That's also very good. And then you're going to have Strength, which is going to increase your melee damage output, which is also going to be very good. We don't know which one we're going to prioritize just yet because we haven't seen what endgame for Strikers is going to be just yet. So until then, we don't know. We're excited to see it, though. We're going to call it right there. That's everything we really know for the Strikers so far. If this was helpful, give it a like, comment, subscribe. Check us out on Twitter at YouAverageGamers. We load up a ton of stuff. We're going to be doing more for Destiny, including reputation, currencies, what have you. So we hope to see you there. We'll definitely see you on the inside of Destiny once it comes out. So take it easy.